record. So welcome. We're so happy that you guys are here. It is beautiful outside. I don't know how it is by you, but by us, it's 80 degrees and beautiful. So we're so thankful for that. If you are not muted, please go ahead and mute yourself. That would be so appreciated. So I'm Kristen Brunius, and this is Share Your Soul, our weekly meeting of testimonials, educations, and giveaways. You're here, so you already know that they're Mondays at 7 Central, 8 Eastern, and so on and so forth. Be sure to invite your friends and family. We'd love to have them. So we do have a giveaway for you, which we will announce at the end of the call. It is provided by Soul, so it is a Soul stocking hat, which they're so cute, and then an Infatuate shaker cup and a green Solle Naturals water bottle. So stick around to the end. We're going to do it a little bit differently this time. We really want to honor our members and our guests. So if you are purchasing Soul as a customer or you are a guest, go ahead and type where you're from in the chat, and then also right behind it, write, I'm a customer, I'm a member, or I'm a guest. So you specialists that are on here, we're so excited you're here too. We want to make sure the giveaways go to our guests. So I have the privilege of welcoming Miss Corinne Lott. And so Corinne, go ahead and jump in. And tonight we're going to talk about the foundational approach. So go ahead, Corinne.
Okay. I am excited because over the last 10 years, actually even before that, when I first went to go see Sharon for the first time, she would tell me, all right, we want to make sure that we're really getting deep and figuring out what the root cause of things are. And so I thought, when this topic came up, I thought, I want each one of us to think about that. Kristen, can you go ahead and switch the slide, or is that something I do? There we go. So I want you to ask yourself a question. Am I focusing on the whole body or just symptoms? I know when people call me, they say, Corinne, I'm struggling with this and this and this and this. Corinne, I'm struggling with this. And because I struggle with this, now this is happening. And I want us to take a look at a few different things. Let's talk about the foundational approach versus the symptomatic approach. The foundational approach addresses the whole body and mind. And then it also can address the root cause of an issue. And those of you that know, I first started with emotional things. And we know that emotions can create some of these other health issues or contribute to those. The other, on the offside, it's the symptomatic approach, and it addresses the symptoms, or what can we hurry and do for a quick fix, or the Band-Aid approach is what I like to call it, because you see all the time on Facebook, on Instagram, on all these things of these people that are like, lose 30 pounds in 2 days, or grow your hair down to your bum in 1 month, things like that. Those are quick fixes. Those are Band-Aids. And I like to say, again, learning from so many different mentors, those are the quick fixes. And whenever we use supplements that give you those quick results, a lot of times it's creating imbalances throughout your other systems. So I want to make sure that we're looking at that too. We don't want to just go to see what we're going to get the quickest results with, or put a Band-Aid over what the real issue is. So go ahead and go to the next slide, Kristen. When I saw this house, I loved it because of the color green. And I looked at that, and I want you to ask yourself another question. Do you want to address the cracks or the reason for the cracks? The other day, my husband and I were talking about, foundational versus symptomatic. And he said, I was listening to, and it was a podcast the other day, and he said, they talked about, this couple went in, purchased a house, and they could see that there was some issues with the walls. and they could see a few cracks here and there, and they thought, oh gosh, we could fix that, no problem. So what they did is they bought this house, they went in, they got, I don't even know what these words are called, but it's like spackling and putty, and they fixed all these cracks, and then they thought, we'll just put some paint over the top of it. No one will even know. I mean, it's like we have a brand new house. So they painted a coat of paint and it looked great. And then within a couple months, they're like, oh my word, that's bulging again. Look at that. That crack's coming out again.
Hold on, actually. Sorry, it was a joke.
So we have to remember that sometimes we can cover up those cracks. And that's what we talk about, putting a Band-Aid on it. You know, so I want us to realize that there's a reason for those cracks. It's not because that wall just decided to crack. They actually found out that there was cracks in the foundation. So when this other guy came in and they said, you know, we've tried to fix this, and he goes, I can't fix that unless we actually look at the foundation. We're going to have to pour new footings. We're going to have to really spend some time to make sure that this house is on a stable foundation. So those cracks were not going to go away. They were not going to get fixed until they fixed the foundation. And that's what we do here at Solle, is we really focus on the foundation of things. We really focus on the root cause of something. We're not going to go, oh, you have this, you know, this symptom. Oh, we'll go ahead and just drink this magic oil or whatever a lot of people will say, because we want to go deeper. We want to look and say, oh, I bet your liver's struggling a little bit, or maybe it's your kidneys, or, you know, how's your gut health? All of that is tied into this. So go ahead and go to the next slide, Kristen. So the foundational approach does a couple of different things. It addresses the root, so you don't have to visit the same symptoms over and over, because we don't want to be like that house. We don't want to fix the crack and then in a few months, you know, have to address those cracks again. So we really want to address the root of it. Just like with this house, the root was that foundation was unstable, and they had to do a lot of prep work to pour new foundation or pour new footings and things like that. Your health issues are a signal that something's out of balance. You don't have to have so much pain to realize that there's an imbalance, but that's usually when we wake up and go, we ought to listen. We ought to stop and go, why am I having this pain? Or why am I'm so tired and I can't, you know, get up in the mornings? Why am I not sleeping? You know, so it doesn't have to be this huge thing, but it does indicate that there's something out of balance, and that's what we need to address. That's why I love Solle and adaptogens, because the adaptogens dig deeper. They go beyond the surface of the symptoms. And I like this, you know, with my clients, and there are so many times that when they are using the Solle products and using those adaptogens on a daily basis, I don't need to have as many appointments with them, because all of a sudden they're like, you know what, Corinne, I kind of held it together. Oh, I noticed that this is, you know, not having an issue, because those adaptogens go in. With Solle, every product contains one adaptogen. They really focus on the mind-body connection, and that is where true healing happens. So, we talked about this part too, you know, and I want to reiterate that, because it is something so important. I know that there's companies out there that are now hopping on the adaptogen bandwagon, is what I like to call it. They're like, oh my gosh, I know how important ashwagandha is, so let me take our synthetic product, throw ashwagandha in, and now we can say we contain adaptogens. But Solle from day one has always had that let's put adaptogens in every one of our products. Let's have a mind connection, a body connection, and with those together, we can really do some healing. So I love that. Makes us very unique. So here's a few quick tips that I have found over the years. I always tell people, give it 90 days or, you know, initially 3 months. Whenever we start on a new program or new supplementation, I always say, can you give it 90 days? Now, if you've had issues for a lot longer than that, we have to remember, we just didn't wake up, you know, this morning with some of these health issues. They've been building up over time, sometimes years. And so I always say a good rule of thumb is initially 3 months, then add an additional month for every year that you've been dealing with the issue. That has always been something so great. Now, I want you to also remember, it doesn't mean that you're not going to get results. You will continue to get results, but they may not be exactly what you were thinking. I have clients all the time call me and say, Corinne, I didn't even realize my sleep was off like this until I started on the Bella Health program. I didn't realize that I could actually get more deep sleep. I didn't realize this. I was speaking with my sister the other day, and she said, since I started the Royal, she said, I'm getting such good sleep. It's like a game every morning. She's like, how was my sleep tonight? So it's just a lot of fun. When we will continually use the Soul products and have the consistency and the time, it's like we're putting into our health bank account. We've heard a lot of people talk about the bank account. And whenever health crises come, sometimes we need to pull from that bank account. The consistency that comes with time, with any program that you start, or even if it's just 1 or 2 products, that is just going to just add to where you're at. You're going to be able to pull from that reservoir. We always hear you can't pull from an empty bank account. Our health account is the exact same way. And there's a variety of Soul programs that are available. I know that for our team, we use a lot of the Bella Health program. And we love that because we can see results. And it's something that, with every one of the products, we've got the Vital to help support, with the chlorophyll blend. It helps support, it gives you all your vitamins and minerals that you need every day. You've got your enzymes, you've got a good probiotic, you've got all your amino acids, so these are all things that are going to help support your system, so that you are actually going to start healing from the inside out and not having to grab a Band-Aid or medication, at another time, but really take a look at those and be consistent with the programs that the person that brought you here has talked to you about. That is one thing that has been really, really beneficial, is the consistency in following those programs. And the nice thing about it is a lot of people have questions. How, when would I take this product, or would I take it in the night or in the morning? How much? Every one of our Soul programs actually has a little info sheet on it that tells you exactly when to take it, that's recommended. And these were put together by the Soul office team and practitioners across the country. So keep that in mind. You don't have to jump into a program and go, I don't know what I'm doing. We have all of those resources there for you. Okay, so to wrap things up, when we add adaptogens with our cells, it equals a beautifully balanced life. So I love that, again, every one of these products contain adaptogens. And it's just one more thing that we get to add to our little health toolbox. So I've loved learning and researching some of these things and reminding myself about the importance of having adaptogens and really working with the foundations and not be running to that quick fix, because things will take time. And I was watching a podcast from our Valerie Bledsoe the other day, and she said, you got to remember, Rome wasn't built in a day. Our health issues weren't created overnight. It is years, and sometimes even longer than that, of habits and poor choices. And so by working together and working with Soul, we can really take that foundational approach, and the healing will come.
Thank you, Corinne. I loved all of that. I especially love that picture with the green door and the cracks. Having a husband who's been in construction, for 25 years, like that really speaks to me, because it's just such a visual thing. So I hope you guys really enjoyed that. In honor of Mental Health Awareness, I also just wanted to point out, we do have the honor of having Greg on tonight. So I'm super excited to hear from him. But I also wanted to point out, in light of Mental Health Awareness, that if you go to the Solle Naturals YouTube, you can watch his wife Donna's story. It is really powerful. really impactful. And it tells a little bit of how Soul started, some of our foundation. And so take a peek at that. But where's Greg at? Stop
I'm
sharing
here,
the
Kristen.
screen. Where is he? There he is. All right. Glad to have you, Greg.
Good to be here. Great to see everyone and spend a little time together. I did bring some slides, Kristen. So hopefully I can continue on with that great presentation of Corinne's on why we should look at things foundationally. It really is a major shift, the whole shift for why we founded Soul, because I don't know if some of you that might be newer tonight, I don't know if you're aware, but in my own personal experience, I had spent 20 years prior to founding Soul with a really good natural health company. And there were individuals there that very much focused in a foundational way in health, but it was very prevalent to simply substitute some kind of a chemical or drug for a natural counterpart. And it's really tempting for people to come in. That company had about 600 different products and just like plug and play, where I love the house with the cracks. I'm just going to fix this crack because it's bugging me, and it's really tempting. I have to tell you, I did that quite a bit with my own health because I didn't like side effects of different drugs. And I thought, well, I'm just going to do it naturally. And I did help a lot of things. We can help a lot of things. But like in Corinne's story, time passes and the crack reappears, or sometimes in different ways. And so foundational, it's not just a really nice thought, it's the way the body heals. It's also the most value-driven way to deal with our health, much less expensive than plugging and play, buying all the putty and the spackle and constantly patching up cracks. Because I've been there, I've lived that. I was thinking of all that while Kurt was teaching us. If you're a little bit in that mode, if you've been there, I mean, first of all, congratulations for looking at natural things that are a little easier on your body and tend to work more with your body instead of pushing it a certain direction. I feel like that's a step forward always. So it's nothing negative, and it's not meant to be not from Corinne, or I would not say it either, and any kind of a criticism that we tend to look at cracks. It's just the natural way we see things. And it definitely is the way we've been taught. But I think that one of the main messages of Soul now involving adaptogens is that these silent nutrients, I call them silent because they're not putty you spackle on top of the crack. You don't see them. They're down underneath, working on the foundation, building a new level place so that your house sits right and doesn't keep cracking. Maybe you don't see them, but you feel, like Corinne said, you start to feel changes and see little changes that can become big things quite quickly. And everyone's different. And I realize that sometimes we have things where we see something pretty major that we like. That's awesome if that's you. But so many of us, we need to work on it, listen to our bodies, be patient, totally worth it, because while we're working on it, while the weeks and months are going by, we're also improving. We get benefit right away. I don't believe with adaptogens, there's any period where it's just like, just take them. Nothing's happening yet, but it will. Something is happening. Something's always building, happening. And that's one thing we've learned. Science has now validated that with lab tests and studies with adaptogens. So that's just kind of a little bit of an observation I was hoping to share at the start. If, let's see, do you have me as co-host, Kristen, so I can share slides? You do already. Awesome. Then I will do that. The product that I'd like to share with you tonight, and that I've been asked to share, it's all about the foundation. This product, luckily, it's the kind of a thing you can feel a difference with too, but it's all about some of the most important parts of our foundation and game-changing nutrients. One of them is D3. I think because of what everybody's been through the last couple of years, D3 at least if you read a lot, has surfaced several times into the headlines because levels of D3 in our system, and those can be measured in blood work, et cetera, directly correlate to how well our immune system functions. And they directly correlate to a lot of other things, not just immunity. So D3 has gotten a lot of publicity. Most people don't know that D3 is actually what is commonly sold and used in sorry, I didn't mean to push that button, is in D3 is actually synthetically derived. I mean, I hate to say it that way. It's actually extracted through chemical processes, fairly strong chemicals from the wool of sheep. And so there are varying degrees of absorbability. And there are studies, and I'm not saying that it isn't absorbed because again, in my prior experience, prior to Solle, was able to use D3 and it will move the needle. But now we actually have a plant source. Our body much more easily assimilates a plant source of vitamins and nutrients. That to me is a strong proving of science over time. We didn't need science to prove it because results show it, but it is comforting. And a lot of people like that validation and we're happy to share it. D3 is one of those from something called reindeer lichen. Dr. Allison talked a little bit about this. Dr. Allison Caldwell Andrews is our chief scientific advisor. Did her postdoc at Yale. Not only has she been on the side of studying and receiving grants to do research, but she's also been on the side of critiquing research. This is an area she's very comfortable and familiar with. But she also has a naturalist's and a natural health practitioner's heart blended with all that science and a wonderful knowledge of herbs. And from Dr. Allison, we got this presentation about reindeer lichen. Reindeer lichen, it grows in the Arctic. It's quite abundant. It is kind of throughout the Arctic zone. Does not deal with roots. It's all about absorbing it through the air because it's a combination of a particular algae and a fungus. And that's how you get it. Very interesting. But medicinal, like so many, there are good funguses and there are some we want to avoid. This one is well used by animals and absolutely safe and effective for us as well as humans, and has very high levels of vitamin D. Vitamin D recently was greatly increased in terms of its recommendation for daily intake in the United States. We think that number is still low. In fact, we think it's probably half what it should be. And anyway, we are all unique and different. Our need needs to be what our levels require to get balance and attain improved health. So we can't always just look at general recommendations and think I'm plugging that in and I'm good. It just depends on my situation. That's why we have mentors at Solle. We prefer a network where there's a lot of emphasis on education, experience, and we monitor and help and support each other and share what we learn. What we've learned with D3, reindeer lichen is a great source. Each capsule has 1,000 IU, which is more than the current recommendation by about 25% here in the US. And still, we on our bottle recommend 2 capsules a day. So that tells you where we stand on what we believe D3 needs are. That is the first element in this product, longevity, reindeer lichen. The next ingredient is called goji berry, also known very commonly as lycium. You might hear it just as often spoken of that way. We actually have 2 forms of this adaptogenic fruit. So full adaptogen, and we carry 2 different forms of it, a particular concentration of it, and a full powder of the fruit powder. The reason for that is we want all the benefits in large amounts of the fruit powder, but there is a group of active components in goji called that are a family of polysaccharides that have been the subject of a lot of the studies of cellular communication and adaptogenic properties of lyceum. Those are the properties that fix your foundation. Those are the crack busters. And so you're going to get them in an extra large amount. There's a lot of talk about goji, for instance, in very outward things like eye health. In other words, our blood vessels, strengthening those, and particularly the small ones. When you have something that deals so effectively with opening up and restoring and energizing those small vessels, it is not uncommon to see vision improve. Anything to do with lungs and breathing, again, a lot of small vessels in there. And every area of the body where you kind of concentrate on that. And honestly, I can't think of any area of the body where I don't want blood to flow, because blood's what carries nutrients and carries a good part of immunity and carries away waste. And it's sort of does everything, right? It's involved in everything is a good way of saying it. So goji berries are in here for that reason. So very much at a core level, helping your circulation, your nutrient drive and energy drive to all the cells. Now, added to these two ingredients is an adaptogen that's a lot less known unless you live in India. You probably have heard of it if you live in India, because it is quite famous there and has been used for millennia in Ayurvedic medicine. It is one of the best immune modulators. I love the word modulator, because modulator means that when you have a lacking immunity, it will boost you. When the problem, the imbalance, is overactive immunity, as in things like one of the studies I was reading about earlier today, rheumatoid arthritis. So you have this inflammation, this joint inflammation that's also autoimmune. You don't want to stimulate, just raw stimulate immunity. You actually want to modulate it. And that is what an adaptogen, that's one of the top 5 characteristics of any adaptogenic herb. They will modulate your immunity. That's why they're so effective. That's why that you can increase the level you take. So if you're dealing with an issue and you're trying adaptogens and you're not seeing the results, you can carefully step up the amounts you take. Listen to your body, watch how you're feeling, and see what changes. And this is what I do, and I have done for many years in my personal life, thanks to a lot of coaching and mentoring by others, and having become familiar with the science side and the studies. I'm not surprised when I see a lot of studies. There are several of them on children with Guducci, inner ear infections, upper respiratory problems. A lot of them related with ear, nose, throat, and lungs for children, and a strong improvement when Guducci is added to the diet. So plants, to me, I know people talk about them as medicines. To me, they're therapeutic foods. They are collections of nutrients in higher levels and in wider variety of components that fill gaps, that lead us to find ourselves in these situations of imbalance, that like Corinne mentioned, that can be built over a lot of time. So I really just look at them as foods. When you're hungrier, the need is greater, you need to provide more foods. The body needs enough to manage each day. Stress depletes so much of our bank account that Corinne talked about, keeping depositing in that nutritional account every day. Just stress itself, whether it's emotional or physical, body receives it the same and has to ramp up and activate and burn through, is my way of looking at it, these nutrients. So let's make sure we bring enough for the needs of the day, the needs of what you're going through in this time. And then if you want to see change, increase it a little, bring a little extra into the equation, both in variety of nutrients and in quantity. And then you'll see change. Then the body can, because it's the body that's healing. It's the body that's changing. Plants are not cures. They are, to me, therapeutic foods that bring a lot of nutrients. The body is pretty amazing and can do a lot when it has what it wants. So that is why we use adaptogens. So now you've probably seen there are 2 of them in this form. And notice with this Tinospora cordifolia or Guducci, it is 4 times concentrated, because we did want a strong respiratory, what's a good way of putting it? A lot of respiratory help in this formula. And this came out, I want to say, was it about 2 years ago? I'm trying to think of when we launched longevity, somewhere around that, 2.5 years-ish. And it's interesting, it was in development for a full year before all of what has been known pandemic. So this was not a response to that. This was a response to underlying health issues that always will be there. And we got a classic example of a particularly difficult one in the last couple of years. But these factors here in this formula will remain amazing components looking forward to the next 2 years and 5 years and 10 years, because they really are quite impressive in terms of what they change and what they protect. So you can see that the bottom point on this slide also shows cell repair and rejuvenation. So that's part of what the body is meant to do all the time anyway as well.
Can I use your scissors?
And so basically, when you're improving the body's ability to repair cells, that can mean cells that are off, like not healthy cells, unhealthy, abnormal. That's part body deals with this. This is partly due to our environment, stress, dietary habits, a lot of factors, right? But the body's built to manage this. If it has, in my view, the way I like to boil it down, if it has the gaps filled in the nutrients it needs and enough of those nutrients and a chance. A chance means the body heals when it gets a state of somewhat of rest. So sleep is important. So managing our stress levels so the body's not always on ultra high alert, having to get through the moment or the day. So these are all functions that these two adaptogens in the formula provide or play to in a daily nutrition. Now, partly for all of this work to work, we need minerals. Minerals are how cell communication happens. So there are 2 more ingredients in longevity that are all, they have many wonderful benefits, but they are among the very, very highest that we know of in the plant kingdom for mineral content. They're mineral rich. One of them is alfalfa. Maybe that doesn't come to a surprise to many people. Plantain is the other. And sometimes people are surprised about how amazing plantain is. Very simply put, they provide lots of key minerals that get depleted rapidly with so many health imbalances, with so many of the cracks in the walls: calcium, magnesium, potassium, selenium, silica, which plays a role in our structure. All of these and many, many, many more are necessary. You know what? A simple rule of thumb is make sure you get a bunch of minerals every day. Longevity can help you do that. Okay, this capsule can help you do that. So Vital can help you do it. Corinne mentioned that. So can Symptomatic. Those are both in Villa Health. She mentioned that package. But just make sure you get a lot of minerals every day, no matter what you're doing. Even if you're in a good spot, even if you've got your health moved to a good spot, build that bank up. Build the mineral bank up. It's something you'll never regret. And so many things. I'm always amazed. Different products come out on the market and different products that kind of go viral. People will go, I just feel so much better on it. So many of those are high mineral because we run around mineral depleted. And there are many people that can tell you much more authoritatively why that is than I can. But I can tell you that it is. And that products high in minerals will make a huge difference. Now, we didn't stop with minerals. So think about what's in this longevity. You have the D3, you have the 2 really high mineral alfalfa and plantain. You have these 2 wonderful adaptogens, goji and guduchi, to rebuild that foundation in you. This is another key component that we couldn't leave out. It's a bacteria. It's a friendly bacteria. I love the long name. You can just call it PF if you don't want to pronounce the long name, named by some German researchers, I believe, because that second name looks pretty German to me. And what PF does that makes it so wonderful is that it actually helps the other flora in your gut duplicate and expand. In other words, when you have propionibacteria in your digestive system, your other bacteria will actually grow better. Why do you want this? Because we're constantly killing them off by soda and red meat and sugar and things that are highly acidic. We're constantly hurting them. So let's help them. Let's also do something to help them and work on the things that are hurting them. None of us are perfect at that, right? So the propionum does that. Number two, propionum produces bacteriocins. They actually produce things that kill pathogenic bacteria and virus. Another interesting fact. That's why you want propionum in your diet. Third thing is it produces K2. We don't absorb calcium very well, maybe I'll say it that way, without K2. K2 is not easy to get. It's produced by these friendly forests. So that's why they're in this formula, because part of the reason is to help strengthen your structural. I know a lot of people are using the Solle Royal right now. It's a wonderful fuel for the way your body builds collagen. When you give your body better tools for that, that's why people sort of look at fountain of youth and longevity and younger looking skin, because the body wants to do that already if it has raw materials that are of that caliber. We give those caliber of nutrients and we can see a change if we stick with it a little bit. Well, part of what we try to do there, and on the bag of Solle Royal, we do recommend, if you'd like, add longevity to this as well. And you can kind of see why tonight with all the minerals, it goes right hand in hand with that. But there is one other thing that this bacteria produces. It's not on the slide. It will produce in measurable levels the vitamin B12. A lot of people will buy B12. They'll go get B12 shots because B12 can make a huge difference in health and well-being and in mood and in mental capacity. Personally, rather than just buying it and eating it, I'd rather have a little factory in me making it and work on that, because it's also going to do other things that these little factories are going to do besides just that. So that's why propionum bacterium is in here. And finally, there's some organic coconut oil. It's the medium chain triglycerides from coconut, the medium chain fats. And they are in here because we don't absorb certain vitamins like D3 without fat, without good fats in the diet. The body needs it. They're fat soluble. And so we provide it in the formula as well. So you can kind of see a little bit of the positioning of longevity. And there's some other really interesting slides, but for time tonight, I'm not going to go into those. We can probably another time if you'd like. But I really recommend this one as something to build the foundation that will provide a noticeable difference. And longevity is one you're going to notice a difference with nails and hair because of all the minerals in it. Especially you combine it with Solle Royal, you're gonna see that too. And if you see that outside, back to what Corinne taught us tonight, the bigger smile we should have on our face is what you know had gone on inside. For it to reach the outside and be evident, externally, a lot of change has to be happening internally, which is of much more value to us because it's now something that's changing all of those foundational processes in the body for health. So longevity is another wonderful thing. Think about adding that one. It's something you can do a little bit of and just stay consistent with. You don't have to go crazy with it because they're quite concentrated, as I mentioned. It's an easy add-on that hits right to some of those core points that we're talking about tonight with foundational health. Anyway, Kristen, that's back to you. I don't know if you have any comments you'd like to add on longevity or any of that.
I mean, I swear every time that I hear about it, I'm just blown away. I got a whole 4 pages of notes and I just love it. And I guess the only question that came to me, I'm not sure if anybody else has any questions, is the Freud and Ricci that's in there.
Yeah.
It said on the slide that it's the same as ProBioIQ. Is it that just particular strain of bacteria that's the same as ProBioIQ?
Yeah,
ProBioIQ.
No, you're right. And sorry, I want to clarify that. I probably should have on the slide. That strain is in 2 products in Solle. So, and that's what that slide meant to say. We also have the same dose, the same dosage amount of Freudenreichii in the ProBioIQ. So if you are taking the ProBioIQ, you are getting this wonderful strain as well. But you can kind of see why we included in longevity with the unique ingredients to make sure that you also have that K2 production in case someone's perhaps not using the ProBioIQ. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. That's what I thought. Just wanted to clarify. Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
All right. Well, let's go back to our presentation. Okay, so next up we have Miss Sarah, who is going to share a little bit about what she calls herself being the yeller mom to the calm and amazing person she is. So Sarah, go ahead and take it away.
Hey, everyone. All right, so I'm going to share just a little of my soul journey, 4 years in, and it's been amazing. But when I came to Soul, I came looking for a solution really for my afternoon crashes. And what I experienced was just so much more. When Soul did come into my life, I was at an extremely busy point. Busy mom of 3 children, all of which were preteen, 11, all the way up through 15, and running an in-home daycare, volunteering for all the things. And when I say all the things, I mean all the things. I've ran the PTO for 10 years. I have run all the fundraising for our Boy Scout troop. I had a Girl Scout troop. Oh yeah, and I was in charge of all of our parish fish fries during the Lenten season. So I was a crazy busy person at that time in my life. And it was also an extremely stressful time of my life. And a result of all of that stress made me what I call a yeller mom. And what do I mean by a yeller mom? I mean, you guys, I would yell and scream at my kids over the most ridiculous things. They wouldn't pick up their toys fast enough. They weren't listening. They were splashing too much water in the bathtub. I mean, just things that kids do. But my body's response to that and my mind of response of that was just to yell, to get attention, to get my way. Whatever it was that was happening, I would yell. And I truly, honestly thought it was just like a normal thing. You see, my mom was a yeller when I grew up. Her mom was kind of a yeller. So it was just kind of something I figured was just passed down. It's just who I am. Just accept it. I mean, I didn't really like it, but then again, I didn't know any other. And the more stressed I would be at different periods in my life, the more of an angry yelling reaction would happen. I started with our Soul Immune package, which was Vital Symptomatic Adaptable, and I added maca. Our first fish fry that, now mind you, our Boy Scout troop runs this. So yes, Boy Scouts, these are little boys ages 11 through 17, where we serve an average of about 300 meals a night. Okay. And our first one was about 4 weeks after I started our immune package. And can you just stop for a second and think how stressful it is running a household, running a PTO, running a daycare where you're watching other people's babies all day long, and managing this crazy fish fry. So many years, my home experienced a very stressed out, angry, yelling mom over everything. But that year I noticed things were a little bit different. I noticed that I wasn't yelling quite as much, that I was able to like get my thoughts across without being angry. I noticed that the panicky feelings I would always experience, right before people got there, right as we were getting all of our food out, those seemed to be way less. And around the second week of our fish fry, so now this would be about 6 weeks that I've been taking the immune package, one of my scouts came up to me and said, "You are so much nicer now." Whoa. Hello, reality, right? I noticed that my children were coming around a little bit more, that I seemed to have a lot more patience when they were doing different things. I noticed that my road rage was a little bit less, that I wasn't getting so angry when somebody was driving the speed limit in front of me. And as I started attending calls like these, calls where I was learning about soul and learning about our foundation and our health, I realized that my mental health needed help. And I realized that it was something I didn't have to live with. You see, I didn't know it was my mental health that needed help. And I truly didn't even know it could be helped. And when it started to clear, and when my body started to respond to these amazing nutrition, I never in my life would have imagined that being a yeller mom and flying off the handle was part of being anxious, was part of having depressive thoughts that I didn't realize I was just pushing aside. I mean, I never, ever would have thought that my inner anger and meanness was my mental health. I truly thought it was just me. And when I truly started addressing my mind and my body connection with soul, things started they just fell in place. Of course, the napping in the afternoon did go away. Thank you to Symptomatic. And that awful mindset that I thought was the normal was very quickly disappearing. Things I thought I would suffer with forever, my chronic allergies and sinus infections, my pain and inflammation from being diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis at the age of 7, all of that was fading. But most of all, I noticed I felt together again, that my mind and my body were working together thanks to the amazing nutrition I was putting in it. And now here we are 4 years later, and I almost forget what it was like until I sit down and write it out, or I tell this story, because these products have changed not only my mindset, but my entire life, from physical to mental to emotional. And I am forever grateful for Soul and what it's done for me.
I feel like that deserves a round of applause. Way to go. And you know what I find really interesting is I remember the day that you messaged me. First of all, she swore up and down she wasn't going to drink the Kool-Aid, which she does. The Kool-Aid is the vital. And second of all, what I found interesting that you commented on was that was not the reason you came to Soul. You came to Soul specifically looking for help with allergies. And you got so much more. And that's what makes Soul so powerful. So thanks, Sarah, for sharing. All right. Our next one is actually a mother-daughter duo, Miss Amy Klomp and her daughter, Isabelle. They aren't able to be on tonight, so they recorded a video for us, and I sure hope you enjoy it. Let me just make sure that I have the sound set up. Sure hope I do. Maybe we should be okay. Let me know if you can't hear it. Just give me 1 second. Can everybody hear it okay? No? Okay. 1 second. Well, if we can't hear it, we'll save it for the next one. I'll try one more time. Everything is working fine. Let me know if you hear it. No. Okay. Well, we will share that for next time then. and that's okay. So be sure to come in next time because
Did you share your sound, Kristen?
I thought I did, but do you want to give me a little?
So when you hover over where it says stop sharing, at the top
Yeah.
of your screen, there should be a drop down menu. And to the right, there should be 3 dots that say more. And if you click that halfway down, it should say share sound.
Thank you, Paige. All right, there we go.
Hello, everyone. I'm
We
Amy
good?
Klump,
All
and
right.
this is my daughter
Good
Isabelle,
to go.
and we were asked to share a little bit today about our soul journeys. And so first, I'm going to start a little bit and share mine. It's hard to be brief because it's been a 5-year process, but it has been one of just joy and blessings as I've grown and just gotten some different answers and have been part of this holistic community. So I'm excited to share a little bit of what that looks like. So starting out in 2015, after I gave birth to my son, I found myself in a place of anxiety and depression. I could not get back to who I was before having him. And it was a very hard place to be. I was paralyzed in fear. It was a very lonely place. It was very isolating. And I found myself feeling very hopeless. I could not find the answers that I was looking for. And I was searching and searching and searching. And I tried all the different things. I tried different medications. I tried different practices, a lot of different things that people are like, do this, and it's tried and true. And just nothing could fill that void or give me that relief that I was looking for. And so in that, with that anxiety also came digestive upset. I was suffering from irritable bowel. I had a lot of pain and I had a lot of inflammation. And so in my search for relief, one of my friends shared with me Solle Naturals, and it could not have come from a better time in my life. Through using Solle Naturals, I was able to find support with my anxiety. And through this holistic community, I was able to find the tools that I need to live a healthier lifestyle overall, which has been such a huge blessing for me. It's been a 5-year process. It's been full of hills and valleys, but I can honestly say, and I'm so blessed that I have not had to stay on medication. I've been able to go off of it. And now I have the support of these amazing blends, adaptogens, vital, adaptable. I love Symptomatic. A lot of the things that I'm doing regularly to support my body to keep it at its best so that when I do have times of trials, which we're all going to have, I have those tools in my toolbox. And so I have been able to just, again, stay out of that need of medicating myself. I've been able to get my joy back. And I have been able to help other people by just sharing my journey. Now, Isabelle, she had a kind of unique situation. She is, how old are you now, Isabelle?
13.
13. But when she was about, what was it, 9 or 10?
I thought it was like around 8 years old.
8, 9, 10-ish age. She was experiencing issues. Time goes too fast. She was experiencing issues where we were having cycles of, she would wake up in the middle of the night. She would have super sharp pains in her abdomen. She would go through bouts of vomiting and diarrhea, followed by be feeling lethargic. And that would bring on anxiety before going to bed, because she didn't know what she was going to wake up to. Can you kind of explain to them kind of what it felt like, Isabelle, when you were going through?
Felt like I was being stabbed in the stomach like several times over and over again.
Yeah. Yep. And how did that feel when it kept on happening over and over again?
Scary.
Very scary. And that made it hard for you to sleep at night, didn't it?
Yeah.
And we did different things, didn't we? What are some of the things that we tried to do to kind of make you feel better throughout that time?
Well, we did an Usborne and Worry book, which worked pretty well. Other things we did was like some oils and just stuff to put on me before sleep to try to stop it.
Yeah, we prayed together a lot, and we actually started doctoring a bit because we were just kind of nervous that there was something really medically going on. And at the time, our doctor had said you could do food journals, you could do different food sensitivity and intolerance testing. And then she said to me, you could do a probiotic. And I was like, hello, why didn't I think of this? The herbal mama, because at the time I was so focused on myself and I hadn't yet started using Soul for my family. So Isabelle, after me, was one of the first family members that started using Solle. So when Isabelle was experiencing these issues, what we started her on was Probio IQ, and what's the other one that you take every day? Adaptable. And she was having these episodes probably every couple weeks at this point. And it went on for at least about, I would say, 6 months to a year that this was happening. Belle, can you tell them what happened when you started taking the Probio and the Adaptable?
I hadn't had it for, I don't know how many years, like 3 years. No, 3 or 4 years.
And did it work right away for you?
No, like not right away, but over time, it took like a few weeks and it was gone.
A few weeks and it was gone. So it was a process. And since then, Isabelle has not had any of those situations again. The other thing that Isabelle and I have been talking about a little bit is, how have you been feeling now with making choices for yourself and knowing that when you're feeling sick or when something's going on, what are the things that you go to first? What have you learned through the process of listening to your body?
Usually either I'll go take some supplements or I'll try to go to the bathroom for a little bit before I feel sick, if I am.
Right. And what about foods and things like that? Since you've been doing natural health and learning alongside of us, what are some things that you've figured out about your body?
That I'm very sensitive to ice cream and like milkshake stuff like that has a lot of milk. It doesn't make me feel very good at all.
And eating junk food and
Yeah.
stuff, right? So at a young age, we're learning to make better choices based on how our body feels, which has been super awesome. The other thing that we're noticing too for Isabelle is she's right at that fun cusp. She just became a teenager. And some of the things, you like that look that she gave me, some of the things that she's experiencing is different than what some of her friends are experiencing. And we've talked a little bit about how that affects our body. So what are some of the things your friends are experiencing with just changes in their body that you haven't experienced?
Acne,
A
lot of acne.
Right. And so Isabelle, because she is eating a little bit of a better diet, she's drinking, what is mostly the thing that you drink? Water, and taking the Probio IQ and the Adaptable and some of the other supplements when we need them. We've noticed that even moodiness and mood swings and things like that have not been as bad as what they may have been before. So for both of us, this has been a really big process, but it's been one that has been super empowering, and it has been just very awesome to learn how to listen a little bit better to our bodies and make better choices for our entire family. So that's just a little bit about what we've experienced. So thank you for taking the time to listen. And although we're not there in body, we are there in spirit. And if Isabelle or I can help any of you guys on our journeys, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask. Thanks so much for letting us share.
All right. I just love Amy. I've had the opportunity to be friends with Amy since we were in middle school. So it's really cool to see her kids now growing up with my kids. But I just love that story, and I love what Amy had to say. Okay, so speaking of Adaptable, and thank you, Paige, for saving the day with audio. I also wanted to share with you guys that we do have, if I can get out of here, we do have a promotion that started today, and it's a lot of fun. If I can get the screen to go over. So it is our anniversary year. So we're celebrating 10 years. And for every month, we have a different specialty item. And this one I'm particularly excited about because it's adorable. So if any of you were to purchase 180 count of Adaptable, you get this free tote bag free. And I'm pretty excited about that. So Solle Safe orders, regular orders, while supplies last. So I think this is going to be a hot item. So get your orders in. And then I also wanted to mention the Share the Wealth program. This is a very new program, but it is so awesome. Basically what it is, so if you've been invited here by a guest or by your mentor, we do have a program. It's a referral code program. So every member or specialist within Solle has the ability to give out a referral code. And when they give out the referral code, they are gifting to you $10 off. And then you, as the member, will receive $10. So it's a give 10, get 10 program. If you have any questions on that, reach out to your mentor and use it to share the wealth, as it's called. All right, so that is it for tonight. We want to hear your questions, your comments, and things like that. But real quick, before we start the questions, I do want to pick a winner. So if I am correct, I have on my list, I believe, 15. Yes, so somebody go ahead and chat in a number 1 through 15. And I'm looking for 3 numbers to pick our winners. And number 8, okay. And oh, now they're going too fast for me to keep up. Number 12. And one more, we had number 13. Okay, so I just want to double check that you are not a specialist because it was just guests and members tonight. So I have Sylvia Nunez. Are you a guest or a member? And then I have Jody Carlton. Just making sure you're not currently a specialist.
No, I'm a specialist.
Oh, okay. So we'll just go to the next. How about Nita? Was Anna?
I'm sorry, Sylvia Nunez, I'm a guest.
Hi, yes, I'm a specialist. Nita?
Okay. How about Heidi Lopez? I think she said she was a guest. Okay, so we have Vicki Cannon, Heidi Lopez, and Sylvia Nunez. All right. I'm going to put my email in the chat. If you could go ahead and email me your information just so we can get it out to you. So like I said, Sylvia Nunez, Vicki Cannon, and Heidi Lopez, those 3, and then you guys are going to get those swag items. So oh, Vicki is a specialist, shoot. All right. Cindy Holdridge or Nicole? All right, go ahead and type it in. In the meantime, let's open the floor for questions, comments, anything on your minds. We've got some great minds here, including Greg.
Cindy Holdridge is a specialist.
Okay. Thank you, dear. All right, does anybody have any questions or comments that they want to share? You could have the floor. No questions?